You know, I could get used to this. Hello everyone, this is CJNovo992 and today we're back for the brand new video. A new video that comes hitting us on a very cold, wet, windy Sunday, but thankfully the vibes and the feelings and the atmosphere isn't as dark as it has been in previous weeks, especially in terms of away performances, because I am once again getting to sit and talk about a Rangers side that played two strikers up top, scored goals, and actually on occasion, despite playing in a cow field, playing some pretty nice football. And just to think where I was a couple weeks ago, I'm a happy guy. So strap yourselves in, follow me as we're here to break down and discuss Ross County 0, Rangers 3, our third consecutive clean sheet in a row, and our 9th goal in our last 2 games since flipping the switch and gone with 2 strikers on the park. And for me, I think that's the best place to start today's video, because the goals have started to flow and the goals have drastically changed everything. Because I'm not going to sit here and talk about this is a perfect game, perfect performance. We are well and truly back, baby. We're here to win absolutely everything, because that would be very, very naive and would be misleading to anyone that missed this game, because there was frustrating spells, disappointing spells. We maybe started off sluggish in the second half, but again, the biggest difference maker is the fact we've now got players on the park, put the ball in the back of the net. And again, that old saying, goals changes games, but also goals changes mood, and goals change entire fan bases, because how we feel now, we've actually got people in that starting 11 that's taking opportunities and putting the ball into the back of net. And I don't think as Rangers fans we can take that for granted, because again, believe it or not, and I don't know why I'm saying that by the way, because we've lived it, we believe this upcoming start, that is the first time we have scored more than 1 goal away from home since May. Ladies and gentlemen, you know how embarrassing is that to actually say, but that's how starved we have been, and that's how poor the football has been that we've had to watch, especially away from home. Because I imagine there's going to be people saying, oh, you can't be happy with this, it's Ross County this, Ross County that, and I get why people want to continue to diminish and maybe moan for the sake of moaning, but at the same time as coming in to this game of football, we are a horrendous away team. We just are. Ladies and gentlemen, statistically and on the eye, we are horrendous away from home. Whilst, if you actually look at Ross County coming into this game before today's lost, only Aberdeen, Rangers and Celtic have picked up more points at home, up the road, if you will, at Dingwall than Ross County. You know what I mean? That is an impressive stat to say. So we had a very good home side, if you will, versus a very, very poor away side. And usually they end up coming out to a battle. Hell, we bottled the league title up there at the end of last season. So I think we can definitely take points and take little promising and little positive energies to take from wee games this, especially now that we're starting to put down roots and actually looking like we're doing what we were promised we'd be doing at the start of the season under Phil Clement. Now, no matter what his motivations are, now that he's finally gave up the ghost with his style of play, his formation, the one up top, etc., that he was forcing down all of our throats, is it the impending CEO? Maybe he does know he's on a tighter leash now that there isn't any pals act there, or maybe he's just realised, you know what I want to do isn't going to work and I want to stay at this club. Whatever the motivations, he's finally doing the right things now. And I sit and look at the 2 strikers leading the line at Rangers. That is back-to-back games we've started with 2 strikers. That is back-to-back games both strikers have scored, and what a difference that's made to this football club as we just continue to rock and roll, scoring goals and actually looking like a football team. And again, dare I say, I actually enjoyed spells of that match and enjoyed the last one versus Kilmarnock as well. That's 6 goals versus Kilmarnock, who we had lost to a couple of weeks prior, and 3 goals a day up at Dingwall, where again we bottled a league title. That is clear progression in this new style and believing in these players, especially our boy igamane. But we'll speak about the little Moroccan and his little pencil moustache in the next couple minutes. Before just ending up on my previous talking point, again, the difference is we're now looking like attacking side. We're now creating opportunities, and we're now putting teams away and not giving them something to hold on to. Because I can imagine people will sit and look at this game of football and say, wait a minute, CJ, you got a deflected goal for igamane, you got a goalie mistake, and you got a goal in the last 5 minutes by Tavernier. Is that really exciting? Is that Sonny Bay say, oh, it's lucky, oh, it's fluky? And for me, I just didn't think people watch football if that's what you're getting, or maybe it just depends how you look at it. If you want to break this game down as simple as igamane scored a deflected goal, what I see is another striker on the park occupying space in the middle, allowing another striker to peel away, get the option, get a shot from outside the box, be brave enough to have a shot, and it takes a slight deflection on its way. That's what I see. I see another striker peeling away into space that's normally not there when the other striker, we're only playing with one striker. And the Danilo one, the goalie mistake, he handed you a goal. Well, not only was it a Scott Fox playbook from the old Morelos goal a couple years ago, what I also see is another striker on the park putting pressure on a goalkeeper, forcing a goalkeeper in to a mistake instead of just having one lumpy wood up there all the time in the world. That goalie takes one heavy touch and it's only resulting in a goal because we've got somebody gambling and putting pressure on the back line, which hasn't been happening all season long. So that's how I see that one. And even the likes of the Tavernier goal in the last 5 minutes or something, maybe it hits off Dessers and falls to Tavernier, whatever people want to try and break it down. I'm still seeing Tavernier in the box in the 85th minute. I'm still seeing bodies in there forcing mistakes, and we're not getting crowded out because again we're actually attacking and remembering our Rangers side should be piling the box. We should have bodies in there, because it wasn't too long ago, just in fact a couple games ago, we were putting crosses into the mix on there was only Dessers there and he was standing about 18 yards out. You know what I mean? That is how quickly it can change, and that is what the correct style of play and the correct personalities and the correct players playing on the park can bring you in. That's who I see this game, ladies and gentlemen. It's Ross County or no, it's clear progression, and we are scoring the types of goals today that we haven't scored previously because again we've been hamstrung and handcuffed by a poor style of play. But I do want to go and talk about the little Moroccan then, shall we? Because just what a difference this guy's making to our starting 11. It's why not only myself but loads of people each and every single week were begging for this lad to play, and we were all absolutely fuming when he was ripped off at half time punting balls up to him, because that's no the type of player is. We wanted game time for this lad and knew that he's getting it. He's well and truly taking his opportunity with not only a screamer here with a slight deflection or no, but just his overall play, you know what I mean? Pushing off people, bringing others into the game, running with the ball, creating space, creating opportunity. He should have finished with a couple of assists today if Cherny remembered the shoot button and the fact that he was left footed. It was just an overall powerful performance by Igamane that, dare I say, reminds me of the very early days of Alfredo Morelos, which again I didn't give very lightly because it was a different time and it was a different style of playing. What Morelos had today was ridiculous because how poor the rest of the squad actually was there. But I'm looking at Igamane, he's bringing all the pieces to his game, and I'm seeing that positivity, and I'm not seeing him lose his wee nutmegs or lose his wee skill. He's still got that personality and flair that's been devoid in a Rangers team, but also he's learning with each and every single game, and I'd argue he's continually getting better. Whether he's scoring 2 goals in this game or 2 goals versus Nice, for me he's becoming a much well-rounded player with each and every game he's playing now. I'm not saying he's just going to continue to go up, because there's obviously going to be peaks and valleys when you're learning and you're a young laddie, but again, this is a rebuild. This is a transitional season. That is our breadwinner, if you will. That's the road that we need to go, and it's very impressive for me the way he's performing and dealing with these hammer throwers, getting back up, even given as good as he's got. He's a good one, Igamane, and I'm looking forward to watching him leading the line, hopefully not only the rest of this season but for a couple more before any money comes on the table. And speaking of table, we now need to speak about his striker partner, because obviously Danilo spent a long time sitting on one. I'm so happy for this laddie as well, you know what I mean, because he has had so many painful injuries. Even the goal where he scored versus St Johnstone, was it last year as well, when he just broke his face? It's like every time this lad tries to do something, he's normally been punished, and it's so nice to see, whether he's Novo-esque and maybe he does have too many chances and do that, he's just a bright spark in our team. And again, for me, having watched us be so painfully boring and just dreadful for so much of the season, his bright spark nature with Igamane's flair is just injecting sun into my feelings watching this Rangers team that I think a lot of people will share. It's actually just exciting now to once again watch the Rangers team, and I think the 2 number 9s or whatever numbers or anything that they've got on their backs, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Just the bright sparks they've injected into our dark season is impressive. And one scored a screamer and one scored an ultimate poacher goal. That's what happens when you have 2 9s on the park, and again I felt their presence was felt all over, and one of the reasons, again, we won this game. The other player that I'm just going to mention very briefly, by the way, because if you actually stay for the game recap, you're going to hear him a couple times, because as much as I'm talking positive and I'm talking this and talking about beautiful goals and beautiful moments, there were some sticky moments in the game, and I thought defensively, again, for the third game in a row domestically, John Souttar's just been a cut above everyone, and he was actually playing with Balogun today, who was also good, but to finish a game of football and say, you know what, Souttar actually outplayed Balogun, or maybe not outplayed because obviously they're playing with each other, but somebody that actually stood out for the game and really made me go, aye, he's been excellent defensively. I thought it was Big Soapy again. So for the third game in a row, hopefully that continues over the next two. Big Soapy has been powerful and as impressive as the other two were. At the other end, at the back, we had a real solid two with Balogun and Souttar, and again Balogun led with the war trenches with the tackles and the blocks getting stuck in, big headers, etc, etc. So aye, we're actually talking about some positive sides at the centre back position and some positive things in the attacking position. Are we sure? We're talking about Rangers in 2024. But I get into the game recap because there are other players that we need to talk about and other major discussion points. Because again, coming in to this game of football, Ross County were heavily in form at home, picking up a ridiculous amount of points. Well, we broke down really, really poor. So it was going to be interesting after the explosion on Wednesday. Was it another false dawn? Would Phil overthink it with what's to come? Would he start to tinker with the rest of the squad and maybe rest him and bring the sports scientist? He's done this amount of minutes. The same crap that he was doing early on the season. And to be fair, he stopped all that crap. Now, ladies and gentlemen, he's actually just playing the good players at the right times and actually allowing them to continue to develop and build relationships. Instead of picking them out and changing this and everything, because a PE teacher puts cone out, says one guy's ran too much, he's actually just allowing good players to play games and build connections, and I was really happy with that, despite being only one change in it, with Diamande coming out, with Connor Barron coming in, which I did see some, I wouldn't say negativity, but some people voicing their opinion online because it's maybe two holders or anything like that. But again, I don't think you can have two holders in the park when you've got two strikers on there as well, because we're still pinning them in. We've still got Hadji's intelligence and all that as well. Czerny's willing running this to run down that side, and again the two strikers in the centre. So I wasn't too upset about Connor Barron coming in, because I know Ross County were going to have a wee bit sun and we probably needed a bit more protection in there. But I wouldn't say we played with two holding midfielders today. Again, the two strikers still pinned them in, created overloads, which allowed that extra midfielder to run in and come up and cause some space. So no negatives for me from the starting 11, despite the one change. I was happy we were still sticking with what worked, and again, we showed that through the 90. But again, of course, we burst the ball in the back of net around about the 5th minute of the game. But it wasn't the first major talking point, because it was actually Ross County from Range who had a wee bit of a raspberry ripple that went just air the bar after a quick counter-attack. Just one long ball beats the entire Rangers team. Surprise, surprise. But Soapy does well to stand them up, force a shot for Range, and again, it's just over. But I would dare say if that ball did end up the back of net, they're going to have to pull that back for VAR, because is that still a thing? You know what I mean? They've started the phase of play and all that, because Igamane's clearly fouled in the 56. He's just absolutely barged from behind. So I think even if that one goes in, it's getting pulled back, if that's still a rule these days, which I don't know if they just pick and choose when they do it. But again, after that, we started to build up. Some Czerny was heavily involved in all that. Again, Hadji was involved, piling it in there, playing it in, but Czerny's shot is eventually hit over the bar after a great run from Jeff Day, running down the left-hand side, just beating his man, pulling it in. Czerny's maybe got the pull back to Connor Barron, but anyway, goes on the right foot again, has a shot that's just over the bar. You're thinking, right, we really fancy this. We're still overloading, we're creating havoc. And again, for the second game in a row, I'm watching a very familiar opposition look a hell of a lot more uncomfortable, as it's not so easy to play against Rangers playing a specific way of having one up top, the rest sitting back, just playing out to Tavernier one side, playing out to Jeff Day, and just hitting random crosses. We've actually got people in the mixer, and you could see it's once again causing confusion, and long may that continue, because 5 people were harder to mark than one solitary cone in the middle. But aye, let's go ahead and talk about this goal then, shall we? Coming down the left hand side, it's no surprise to me that Jeff Day and Igamane was heavily involved. Great play from Igamane, just sort of drifting in to the space as Hadji goes in, and that fluidity is something that's actually exciting to see, because if you ask me who played where the day, you could argue it's still a 4-2-3-1 if you want, or if it's a 4-4-2 or a 4-2-2-2, whatever people want to say. But what I'm seeing is people and attack minded players just just being good players and picking up space where they need to be and pulling defenders and midfielders out the way to creating space for the others. And that's what happens here. Hadji goes in the middle, taking his full back with him. Igamane comes out here, taking a centre back with him. He plays a nice little 1-2. It's very uncomfortable for Ross County's side. Jeffy plays it back to him, and he just has an absolute rapper right into the top bin that, yes, takes a slight deflection on the way. But if you didn't shoot, you didn't score, and we've been unlucky enough over the last couple of years. I'll take every bit of that, and that's just continually to build that laddie's confidence up, continually making us feel good as a fan base. And aye, he's so damn exciting, and I love the fact that he's willing to try things like that, because again, we had a striker scoring from outside the box once again for the back-to-back games, and another line scoring the ball, scoring inside the box. It's flashbacks, you know what I mean? It's McCoy, Haitley, it's Porso Novo, it's stuff we've all grew up actually begging for. And again, as a fan base, it's something we've been screaming not only at Phil but Beale and even Gio, that these games domestically that we have not been good enough to win, to go ahead and collectively win league title year after year, taking the handbrake off, putting two strikers with instincts in there and playing attacking football could provide the option. And you're seeing it now with back-to-back fantastic games in terms of putting the ball into the back of net. It feels very justified with all our screaming and moaning and frustration over the years, because look at the difference and how quickly it can change when you've got them. And aye, it's a screamer for Igamane, and dare I say that even the fans giving him the Alan McCoy song the day, he certainly deserves it for the way that he started his career. If he's going to get to that level, he's got a long way to go, but if anyone deserves the opportunity with the way he started his Rangers career, it's that young man, and long may his development continue. And after that goal, there was a wee bit of flurry opportunities, like crosses coming into the box. You've got Hadji playing in Cherny again. You've got Hadji bringing in Danilo that's got a shot over the bar. But it's got to be said, the next major opportunity actually came from the other end, as Jack Butland ended up dallying on the ball, and it was a flip side. Which goalkeeper was going to get punished for the mistake on the ball? Thankfully for once, we got away with it, as he ends up just passing it away, and Big Soapy is again at the right place at the right time with a slide tackle block, stopping any potential shot on goal. But aye, that was nearly a howler for Butland, but he did make it up to us a little bit later on. Again, what followed was some good play as Hadji picks out Danilo, nice little 1-2, tries to play it in the middle. Hadji's screaming for it back, but Danilo takes a touch inside the box, has a shot which he's well wanted to, as again he is a striker. My only real frustration was what the hell Cherny was playing at the day, and I've gave him so much praise, and I've called him the injector, the spark of this team, and for me, I'm not taking any of that back, but I sat and look at just wasn't his day the day. And I think I'm very thankful that we're now playing this style of playing, got other good attacking players on the park, because when one of our most consistent players over the last couple of weeks struggles like he did the day in front of goal, we weren't punished, because that a week ago or a couple of weeks ago or one style of play ago, that's probably dropped points today if Cherny's missing the chances he did. But again, we just kept overloading, we just kept creating, so his blushes were well and truly spared. But aye, what was Cherny doing? Because Danilo even picks him out with a wonderful through ball as well, with a devastating counter, but then he pulls it back onto his right foot for the third time. He tries to go around the goalkeeper and makes a very smart save. And it's funny, right, because people will say, oh, the goalie handed Rangers the game today, or the mistake handed Rangers today, because it's lazy and it's clickbait and it's just what people want. It's just want to moan all the time. But the guy actually made about 5 or 6 really good saves to stop this from being a cricket score. But that's the tail of the tape. If you're a goalie, you make one mistake and that's what's remembered. And aye, thankfully when I did. Because round about the same time that Cherny was played through and tried to go around the goalkeeper and failed, Tavernier ends up doing a bit of a slack, silly back passes. He tries to play it back to Seward. It's a bit poor. Ends up giving Ross County the opportunity to pull it back from range, and his deflected effort hits off the knee of Balogun and goes just a whisker wide, even though I think Butland's maybe actually getting there. But it did create a flurry of corners that, again, they are scary in because we're so actually bad at. But aye, we didn't get punished for that wee bit of lapse in concentration. I'm delighted for a skipper, because I was just thinking, oh, it's just his luck to pass it back like that and then nearly end up scoring. It's good to actually talk positively like we will later on. But aye, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, we've started off well, we've scored a good goal, we've maybe spurned a couple chances, we've had clear-cut opportunities. Ross County's nearly capitalised on a mistake from one of the Rangers players. It's sort of the familiar formula of a Rangers game, but then Hamilton ended up making a bit of a mistake again. But again, I look at it as my striker in the right place at the right time, putting pressure on the goalkeeper. Takes a heavy touch. Danilo chases it down, puts the ball into the back of net from a very tight angle. He's away celebrating with the fans, and that was a Because again, we saw last year what happens when you spurn clear goal scoring opportunities when you're 1-0 up versus Ross County. I didn't need to relive it. Thankfully the goalie, but also thankfully Danilo was on the park this time instead of Dessers was last year, and he takes his opportunity, and again I'm delighted for him. So that's us 2-0 up, and we end up going into half-time 2-0 up, and for me it was really refreshing again as a Rangers fan to watch the opposition need to rip up plan A after the first 45 minutes and make a double change, because how many times has that been us this season? You know what I mean? Clements chooses the wrong starting 11, he's going to rip up at half-time and make a double substitution. He's subbing this guy off, subbing this guy off, subbing this. We actually forced the opposition again in back-to-back games. Kilmarnock and the day versus Ross County in today, and I know that might sound very, very obvious and that's what should be happening, but again I stress to you, it's not been happening. It's been us needing to do that. So again, it's just refreshing to see us battering teams doing enough that they're saying, right, we need to change our mind here. This isn't the traditional old formula of a Rangers side that we've came to expect. But to be fair, their big attacking changes did offer a bit more threat, as obviously big Jordan White comes on, who usually sits and looks like big Crespo every time he plays against us. Obviously a big Rangers man as well. I don't know what motivates him, but by God, he's always up for these old firms, and he's obviously a bit of a difference maker up there. He's a bit stronger, brings it in, and I think that showed you the style of play which they were then going for. Rather than maybe just a quick play, passes in behind to Samuel and Hale, it started becoming a bit more direct to Jordan White and playing off him there with Brown as well coming in here as obviously Timu, Jack Grealish and everything, like playing off him putting in crosses, and that crossing nature did start to obviously affect us, because again we're not the finished article, we're not the perfect team, we've not vanquished all of our demons, and we really started off slow in the second half and failed to deal with the physicality of Ross County. Hello, it's still Scottish football. But then they started to win some corners. The first one comes in from Brown, again whips in, Balogun does well, header it off, Campbell ends up going out for a goal kick, and I couldn't believe it was given as a corner kick, and I'm absolutely delighted with the wee slice of luck we get here for a phenomenal save for Butland, because this would have been an absolute injustice, because from the corner that should never have been a corner, they whip it into the mixer. Campbell again gets into the ball, brilliant header, do more, but thankfully Jackie Butland saves his earlier blushes with a phenomenal point blank save. That's what we need for Butland, that type of play, and we survive again and not be punished for something that should never have been a corner kick. But speaking of corner, that actually does remind me of something that made me laugh during the game. I don't know if you remember this moment, hitting a wee pause button in the game recap. There was a moment where Igamane tries to have a shot, right? It's probably not going in or anything, but ends up hitting off the defender, and it's just sort of curls as if it's going to go out for a corner, and their centre back absolutely turns into Barry Allen, bursts his panning to get there, diving, and just manages to save it from being a corner to go out for a throw. And for me as a Rangers fan, I sit and said, joke's on him. We wouldn't have scored it anyway. What's he doing? But taking the pause back out the game recap, there was more good Igamane play after about 10 minute spell where it was a bit sloggy. You know what I mean? The park wasn't great the day, tough conditions, sort of bong. Started becoming long ball football for Ross County. There was a lot of setting balls to be won. Wee Raskin was really good again today for me. We'll speak about him in the next minute or two. But eventually we do create another opportunity, and no surprise it's Igamane that gets it from Raskin. Turns his man, runs right at him. Hits with a wee fake shot that makes every defender buy it, because again he showed his threat from range already, and then slips in a beautiful no-look pass to Cherny, who opens the body up and actually remembers he's left-footed, but it's a very, very tame effort, and it's an easy save for the Ross County goalkeeper, and you're sitting saying, God, it could really be 5 or 6 again the day, and you really wouldn't bet against it with the chances we've had. And again, for someone who has been so good this season, Cherny really should have at least a hat-trick if we're being fair today. But again, where you can look at negatives constantly, I'm really happy I'm seeing my young centre forward turn his man, run away from an alien, use his body, and then plays a ridiculous pass like that. That's something for me to get excited about, because that hold-up play, that connection, that link-up play at the striker position, again, was completely nullified all season long, because everything just came back, if he wasn't getting flung around like an empty pair of jammies. Igaman then has another very good run a couple minutes later as he puts it through the defender's leg once again with another cheeky nutmeg, tries a shot type cross, forces the goalie into another save that goes for another corner, and actually we were pretty close to this corner, believe it or not. Now it was a short one, we play it in, I think it's ended up being Hadji that puts it in to sort of the back post area. It sort of falls into Soapy, who should probably burst the back in. That's back-to-back games with all the memes and how poor we are with corners. Soapy should have scored in his last 2 games, but again it's a good save, it's stretching, you can say what you want about it, but that's as close as we came to adding a third up to that point in the old match. Subs then started to happen. The likes of Diamande came on, Dessers came on, Barami had came on. They started to make some changes, even the likes of Dujon Sterling, and that's an important sub because he slotted back in almost to the right back position, which again allowed Tavernier to sort of linger in and around the box the last 15 minutes. And it's funny, me and the missus has got a wee thing with day when we feel like it's going to be a Tavernier game, or if he's going to get a goal or assist, we just call him James Henry. That's what we say, James Henry. This is a James Henry-esque game, and I ended up proving it to be. Sterling come on, solidifying that right hand side, allowing Tavernier to sort of linger in and around the box and around about the 80th minute, whilst again they concede the most amount of goals so far of the season, and we score the least. We end up having a shot, I think it's Barami that has a shot first that bounces off the arse of Dessers. It falls perfectly to Tavernier. Tavernier, with a cheeky wee daisy cutter almost outside of the fit, bus the back in it. It's like Tavernier is really, really good at those type of incidents in around the box. And again, as I had to say in the last video, I'm delighted for a lad. Hopefully he keeps doing that, because again, despite everything and all my frustrations this year, this guy for me is an absolute legend, you know what I mean, with everything. I'm delighted for him, and I've made countless videos over that over the last couple of years. I love seeing that, but again, I can't be blind to think that he will be really, really good versus the likes of Spurs and especially Celtic, where Celtic's strength is our direct weakness, and unfortunately that's been Tavernier over the last 5 or 6 old firms. Again, on play, yeah, he maybe scored a free kick here or scored a penalty here or there, but I'm talking about directly impacting games. It makes me nervous for what's coming up, but again, we kind of get lost in what's coming up. We're talking about Spurs game on Wednesday, we'll talk about the cup final and maybe possibly Friday if we upload it a wee bit earlier than normal. We'll speak about these incidences, but again, I just want to praise Tavernier because I've been critical enough of him this season. He scored a great goal there, hits off Dessers' arse. It's almost a wee flickeroo for, was it St Johnson it wasn't St Johnson, it was St Mirren a couple of weeks ago, where Tavernier has a shot and it hits off Dessers' ankle and hits the back of the net. It was almost a flip of that. Son hits off Dessers, falls to Tav, and he puts it in the net, and you've got a Dessers assist, Tav goal to deal with in. That truly was the finisher. Happy birthday, Big Des. Hopefully you continue to sit on the bench what Igaman does. Some madness. But that is the game of football, ladies and gentlemen. That is another win. That is another clean sheet, and that is another game of football I've actually enjoyed watching this season. There's no many of them new when I think about it, but the last 2 have been great. And why? Because we're actually getting to see what the fans have been wanting to see. It doesn't matter how others play there or how others, what works for us with the group of players we've got. Clearly, domestically, it's having those 2 strikers, because again, it gives the opposition to something to think about. And I look at all the incidences and all the goals and the chances, it's just pulling people out of position that normally wouldn't be there. Well, we created chances in the previous system or no, there wasn't quite as glaring as this, and for me, fun is this to watch as we overload and create gaps and attack those areas. I'm enjoying watching Rangers over the last 2 games. I'm enjoyed this game of football despite the tricky conditions, despite a tricky stadium versus a tricky side at home, and I'm going to enjoy the rest of my night with a smile on my face, and I will enjoy it into Monday, start getting nervous about Tuesday, and then I'll discuss it on Wednesday as we break down the Spurs upcoming Europa League game before what is a massive week for this football club, and clearly for the manager as well, which I think again is playing a major part in why we're seeing the changes now and why he's abandoning the philosophy he's tried to shove down our throat. It feels like it's a make or break week, and he started it very well over the last 2 games. Hopefully that continued to rock and roll. And by the way, before I finish up today's video, I thought Raskin was great as well, and he's flying underneath the radar because Igaman scoring, Danilo scoring, Cherny's been scoring, Hadji was very good today on occasion, frustrating on others, but that's going to happen when you're a creative style player. Let's not forget about that as well. But Raskin in the middle, I thought it's been absolute excellent. What an impact he's injected into the middle. It was a tough one for the old man of the match today. You had Igaman, you had Big Soapy, and you had Raskin, in my opinion. I'll leave it up up to you. If you're still watching today's video, who was the man of the match? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down there in the old comment section below. And until Wednesday for the Europa League preview, I've been CJ over 92. Thank you so much for watching. All the best and bye-bye.